Hi, Annie.
Hi, Althea, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. You see me?
Welcome, welcome. I do.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm nervous.
Oh, no need to be nervous. It's just me and maybe a couple of our friends, our regulars that just kind of hang out in here with us. We're pretty laid back in here, so don't be nervous.
I'm gonna try my best to not be.
We'll have people dropping in at different times because we have a few in meetings and um people are still getting adjusted to the time change. I had no
That
idea about daylight savings. That kind of just popped up and out of nowhere, honestly. Hey, Chris.
I totally forgot this morning. Like, oh yeah.
I thought it was a joke. I was like, what? There was like some meme or something that I saw, and I was like, is it really daylight savings already? That's awesome. I love more daylight.
me too. It's just that this year is going by way too fast, though.
I agree. Yes, March already, which is insane.
Yes.
So our lovely chat moderator, um, Ted, is feeling under the weather today, so he just popped in to start recording for us. Um,
Oh,
so he will not be on today. He is not feeling well.
I know it's going around. I had a head cold last week.
Yeah,
Kind of getting over it, but for the most part, it's it's just a little cough here and there and some sinus. But 2 weeks ago, it was really bad.
okay. Althea, do you prefer to be called Thea?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, awesome. Just checking. And do you know of anybody that from like your friends' family that might be joining us today?
I do. I have a couple folks that's supposed to be joining.
Okay. Do you happen to know who they might be or who we should look out for? Sometimes we get some random people and we're like, I don't know who you are.
I do know one is his name is Robert. Um,
Okay.
and maybe some of my siblings, Kayla, Tammy. I have a
Okay.
lot of siblings.
Okay.
It's
So
nine
if
of them.
you want to send them the direct link that I sent you, like real quick, because we have a few minutes before some of our board members join us. They're actually in a meeting right now, so I'm trying to stall until they can at least come and join us. I don't want to start without them. But their meeting starts at 4 and usually ends by now, but they've sent a message saying they were running just a little bit over. So
Okay.
um, ethnicity. Listen, we're all here joining, adjusting to the time change. So you're not the only one.
I was literally so confused.
You're like, why are we meeting so early?
Well, because I always look at the time on my wheelchair. In my wheelchair, it doesn't like switch automatically. So
Mhm.
it said it was 3:56, and then I was like, wait a minute. I got out of bed at 3:30. So how has it only been 26 minutes? And then I looked at everybody in the house. I was like, what time is it? And they were like 4:57 because like a minute had gone by, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not slow. My wheelchair just didn't change by itself. I was really confused though.
Yeah, I hear ya. I'm still like, I don't even know. I woke up at 12, apparently.
Well, then it made sense last night because I got hungry at like 1 in the morning. So
Your midnight
I made
snack.
Hunter go get Taco Bell, but then I ate Taco Bell, and I watched one episode of the show, so like 40 minutes. And then suddenly I looked at Hunter and I'm like, what time is it? He was like 3:30. I'm like, what? How? I was so confused.
Yeah, it'll do that.
It makes sense that everything went by a lot faster. I didn't even know the time was changing.
Gotcha. Yesterday I was telling Chris and Thea that our chat moderator's sick today, so he's not here. He just came on to press the record key. And he'll watch later. But he is under the weather.
Feel better.
Yes. Let's see. So guess what, guys? We're working really hard to get everything done for conference. And we're getting down to the wire. We're starting to work on some crazy things. But I'm super excited for this year.
Cool.
There's gonna be a lot of cool additions, so
I really hope I can make it this year.
Cool. Yay.
good.
Up there, but if
I was hoping you would join us in Atlanta since we were so close to you.
I know. The timing was the same timing as my family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that was, I was just like, dang it. But this time it's not the same time. So
Right. Yeah. And we're hoping we have more people with us being a week more into July. What is it? We usually have it July 4th week.
I
And
think this was the 9th or something like that.
the
next week.
9th through the 12th, so it's the following week.
Yeah.
And so everybody can stay home and enjoy fireworks and the cookouts and their family reunions this year. So, but hopefully we'll have a good turn. I hope you can make it. That would be awesome.
Really would. I'm excited. And I
Yes,
like that background too.
do you? Yes, we so that was our shirt like 2 years ago, I believe it, and we just made it into a background. I've been using it ever since, so it's really cool. Let's see. I was just making sure that I'm not missing anything. Oh, Doug says he is working a baseball game today, so he's 112 days until June 30th and 121 days till conference. So, and then we have just a few days left for early bird registration. So we have until Saturday. So if you're wanting to get those early bird registration passes, register by Saturday at 11:59, and then it switches.
You get,
Did you register yet, Chris?
I did, but not at the hotel yet. So
Oh, you haven't got the hotel yet.
But I am registered. I forget a week or two ago, 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm the opposite of you, Chris. I have the hotel, but not registration.
That's okay.
But the rooms are actually going like really fast.
Are they really?
Because
Uh-oh.
the people that like I'm in a room with, we were like, the way that we were splitting it up, we were like, okay, we all need this much to be able to put like the deposit on it or whatever. And we originally had one room picked out because it was a little bit bigger. It was like the 2-queen bed with like the Riverview room.
Mm-hmm.
And literally 2 days later, all those rooms are gone.
Oh no.
Literally the only ones they have left is the king bed. You can come in the king bed one and the 2-queen beds. Like all the other rooms are done. They're gone.
Did you select like the accessible room?
Yeah, they didn't have any left.
Oh, really?
At least not that I could see.
I know there's like a trick on the web page link. When you go to it, there's like a separate section on top of the Hilton's page. You have to select accessible room. I'll check it later to make sure, but I'm pretty sure there might be still some rooms left because it's
Oh
still
yeah,
it's
I
still
mean
really early.
I clicked on like the filters and hit ADA, and there
Mhm.
was
And there
nothing
was
popped up.
nothing. Okay.
But yeah,
I'll double check and I'll let
the
Michelle know because we
the
might have to
rooms
just.
are definitely going really fast.
Are they? Okay. That's actually good to know. So if you haven't registered for conference, book your hotel room first.
Yeah,
Just say you're
seriously.
with the the AMCSI conference or the AMC conference, they'll know who we are. If you call the hotel and then there is a web link to register for the hotel room, but you have to register first with us and then it sends you the web link through email. So,
Yeah, luckily, one of the people I'm rooming with is already registered, so we use her link.
very cool.
But yeah, it was crazy. There was like when we were first looking at it, there was 4 different rooms to choose from, and then by the time we actually did it, which was only a couple days later, there was only 1 room to choose from.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right, you guys. So it's 10 minutes in, and I want to make sure that we have enough time to talk to Thea. Um, she is our special guest for Together Tuesdays, even though we're recording on a Sunday. Something new that AMCSI has been doing for a while now. We've been recording our sessions on Sunday because we feel like it doesn't interrupt work schedules and sleep schedules, and we are able to talk a little bit longer if necessary because it is the weekend, unless I have somewhere to book off to, which was last week. I was like, I gotta go, guys. Um, but welcome, Thea. We're so excited to have you here for Together Tuesdays. I really wanted to, I saw that you had published a book and had launched a website and are, oh my gosh, you're doing so many different things now since I met you in person years and years and years ago. So I wanted you to obviously tell our community more about you, your family, anything you really want to share with us, and then of course your new adventures that you're doing because it's really exciting and it should definitely be shared with the world.
Thank you so much, Annie. I appreciate that. Again, I'm thrilled to be here and to have this opportunity to speak with you all today. My goal is hopefully to be, that this experience is enjoyable and it is an enlightening hour or less together. So thank you so much for taking the time to join me. A little bit about myself. I was born with arthrogryposis multiplex congenita. I am from a family of 9, and for those that are online that do not have AMC and that's unfamiliar with this disorder, it is a rare congenital disorder characterized by multiple joint deformities. Um, so pretty much meaning in my case, my limbs that are deformed are my hips, my feet, my back, and my hands. Those are the main ones that are deformed. Back in 95, I did have surgery on my back to help correct it. But honestly, to me, they worsened it. So I'm no longer able to bend 45 degrees forward. So anytime you see me, it looks like I'm about to slide out the wheelchair. That is why. But they were saying my spine was curving at a rapid pace. And if I didn't have the surgery by the time I became an adult, I would be bedridden. So I did have that surgery, and here I am today, not able to bend forward, but it's it is what it is. I've learned to live with it and make the most of it as I am now. As I stated, being from a family of 9, I am the only one that has arthrogryposis. And being in the wheelchair, or being quote unquote different, my family always made sure I never felt out of place. I found my own ways to play, and my younger sisters were always ready to join me, adapting to the way that I would play around. Like, for instance, I would scoot on the floor and they would get on the floor and scoot with me. I can remember one time we were playing and we were scooting on the floor. At the time, I thought I was going really fast and they were going fast too. And my sister was right ahead of me and she was scooting so fast and hard. And I was so close up to her when her head went back, it hit my head and knocked one of my tooth out. So that was just the way we did things. It was fun. And even growing up, my mom, she was the strict one in the family. I could not tell her that I could not do something. I would have to show her that I couldn't. She just wouldn't take my word for it. And 95% of the time, it was because I didn't want to do it. It wasn't because I couldn't do it. So she was definitely the disciplinarian in the family. My dad, on the other side, he was more of the softer version of my mom, but he never like disregarded what she said. He just was always like, well, you got this, you could do this. He would be more, softer with me. So anytime I didn't want to do anything or anytime I got in trouble for something, he would be the one that I would go to. And although, like I say, he never changed from what she said, he just had a different way of, I guess, making me feel better about it. So they treated me just like they treated the rest of my siblings. Let's see. I did have a good upbringing as far as my family dynamics. Early school years was fun. A lot of my classmates, they wanted to push me around. They would, of course, be racing to like volunteering to say, okay, I'll push her, this, that, and the other. So I had a really good childhood when it came to school. It wasn't until like middle school when things started to shift for me, or that I noticed the shift. And that was when a lot of my friends, like, they had boyfriends and girlfriends and I didn't. And I'm just like, okay, why do I not have a boyfriend? And at that time, I thought it was because of my wheelchair. I'm like, okay, they don't want me because I'm disabled or whatever. So that really affected me back then. I remember there was one time my parents had bought me this one clock. It was a pretty little clock with a heart with two doves that joined in together that shaped like a heart. And for some reason that day, I was in my head and the clock fell and broke. And I decided, well, this is really tough or whatever. So I took a piece of the glass and tried to slit my wrist. But thankfully, it didn't go deep enough because I'm still here to share my story. And that thing hurt too bad. I never tried it again. So that was that. And then as I got older, though, I realized that it wasn't so much that I don't think that people or the guys didn't want me because I was in a wheelchair, but it was something that I reflected on a lot. And my projection of myself, I think, projected off on them as well. Because when I did learn to start, accepting me for who I am, which honestly didn't happen until after college, honestly. So it took a long time to get to that point of me accepting me for me. So I had a lot of years of dealing with that, my physical, the way I look physically, I had a hard time dealing with that. So of course, a lot of years went by when I just felt when I couldn't get certain things or when certain things didn't happen to me or happen for me the way I thought it should happen for me, it was because of my disability. That's what I blamed everything on. But when I started to change my perspective about myself then I started to notice, everybody else around me started to change as well. I started to feel different. I think just by me projecting, seeing myself differently, I was opening up the door for them to accept me for who I am. After college, like I say, it was years later, but I eventually got married, and my husband, he was amazing. And he definitely accepted me for who I was. And he reminded me, honestly, a lot of my mom. Like, it was not that he felt sorry for me, this and the other, because a lot of times when I wanted to feel sorry for myself, he wasn't having it. And things when I just say for crafts, for instance, when I was doing my crafts and they didn't look like he thought it should look, he was like, you could do better than this. Like, he was like, you need to go try this over again. So he was just as tough on me as my mom was. And I can appreciate both of them for that, because it made me be better than what I am. And unfortunately, 2 years, I don't think we were even married 2 years before he passed away. So after his passing, I went back into a whole little funk again for a while. And as I started to come around a little bit more, I started homeschooling two little boys. And they were honestly my reasoning for getting up a lot of the time. Like, I would get up in the mornings and I'm ready for them boys to be at the house, and homeschooling them and just their energy, it gave me that joy I felt like to keep pushing forward. It gave me something to look forward to. They depended on me to, give them their education and just to be a person there for them. So after, I was focusing on them, and, life is going good and I'm getting into the drift of everything. About 2 years later, let's see, Terrence died in 2020. My mom died in 22. So that just kind of took me spiraling back down again. But they were like two of the closest people I think anybody could ever have in their life, your mom and your spouse. I think those are two of the closest people you could ever have. And they both were taken from me. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, who do I turn to? Like, what is going on? So it took a lot of prayer and a lot of counseling for me to kind of, get back into the swing of things. And just as I was starting to get back into the swing of things, 6 months later, the boys had to leave to go back. Like, they was no longer able to be homeschooled anymore. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is yet another person or another two people that's been, just kind of taken from my life. And again, back down the rabbit hole. But thankfully, this time around, I don't think I went that far down the rabbit hole. I think God was preparing me when he took my husband and my mom. I think he was preparing me for this moment. And as I sit here and I talk, and as I was thinking about it earlier, I felt like a lot of my life was so much focused on them and helping them, and I forgot about myself. So having them gone, I'm able to focus more on me and what I like and what I don't like, and, just experience life in a different way. Because my husband, he was sick. He was sick when I knew him, when we first met, but I didn't realize how bad it was. But I ended up having to be the caretaker for him. Imagine that. So I was his caretaker. So a lot of my time was, spent caring for him. And after he passed, then the boys, I jumped right into the boys, and now I have to care for them. And after all of that, who do I care for now? So my caring for is myself now. And I'm learning to embrace that more. And I feel like I have done a pretty good job at it. I am a lot more happier, I think, it's still taking some getting used to, and sometimes I do feel a little selfish by doing certain things, but I do feel better, and I've experienced a lot more since, the passing. Like I've been able to do scuba diving, for instance, something I don't think I would have done before, and that was a great experience for me. I also, travel, which I was traveling before, went to London, going to Canada, like those places. So I have, been able to kind of come around and do more things for myself, and also wrote the Biozine, which I call my book. It's a Biozine, and it is like a magazine style. It's my biography and a magazine kind of together. So it's a lot of pictures, and it also features some small businesses that I support and love. So it is a magazine style, but my hope is to continue that, but I don't necessarily want to focus on me in every issue. I want to focus on other people with physical disabilities that have a story to share, that is living their life to the fullest, that not allowing, you know, them to use their disability as their inability. So that is my hope for the Biozine. I do have my next person to be featured. I don't know if you guys know Bong, but he is supposed to be in my next issue, and I am so excited, to have him being featured in this issue. So I am super, super excited. But, I didn't want to spend this whole hour just, talking about me as well. I wanted to, get you guys feedback on some stuff, especially in doing this upcoming biozine. Like for me, for instance, I know that I don't necessarily have issues with the way, like when it comes to terminology for a lot of things. Like some people don't like for you to say, I have a disability, this, that, and the other. What, and if you do have an issue with that, like what are some of the terminologies that you guys do like to be referred to as, like, if you guys can share some of that with me, share some insight on that for me.
Chris, you want to take that one?
I'm trying to figure that out. I personally don't have a problem with disabled and disability. I do have a few acquaintances who I think do a little bit more. I can handle the word handicap sometimes too. Crippled be a little somewhat awkward. I think that might be probably the word I would like. To a degree. But I feel like I've always been handicapped. I've always been disabled. And it's one of those things that don't affect me as much. But sometimes when I hear the word crippled, I kind of cringe a tiny bit. Like a stronger term.
I see that, yeah.
Now, sometimes I can tease about it. I can laugh at myself. And, I have used that term from time to time. But it does feel weird sometimes. But, I don't, it's hard to say in some sense about what others might say. What about you, Felicity?
I think I'm almost the same way. I mean, I think I prefer disabled like the most. I mean, personally, I prefer to just be called a person.
Yeah.
Because I feel like disabled or not, we're all people. We should all be equal. But same thing like you were saying, like if a random person comes up to me and uses the word crippled, like that makes me instantly mad.
Yeah.
Like it makes me instantly mad. Now, when it comes to like my friends and people that I'm close with that are also disabled, yeah, we're like, oh yeah, we're the cripple crew, or like I live with two other AMCers and our Wi-Fi name is Casa Cripple.
Wow.
Like that's just what it is. So I feel like it's okay when it's like people I'm close to that also experience what I experience, and we're like joking about it or we're laughing about it, because I feel like joking is just a way to cope with some things. But I definitely don't like when a random person's like, "Oh, do you see that crippled girl over there?" Like that really makes me mad. um, there was actually a when I was getting a proclamation when I was probably 12 or 13 for the state of Florida. Um, in the newspaper that they wrote about it, they said crippled teenager. And that really sent me and my mom over the edge. We were calling like the newspaper place and everything, like, you need to change that because that's not an okay word to use when you're speaking of somebody else. I feel like a random person using the word crippled towards somebody that's disabled is kind of that's to me the same thing as using the R word, calling somebody retarded.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really like the same thing.
Okay. What
So-
about wheelchair bound? Because I know that I've seen several posts of certain people like, I'm not wheelchair bound. I just use this as a means of, it's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I think that's okay. I feel like that gives people more of an insight of how you are affected because I'm completely in a wheelchair all the time and I use wheelchair bound. I feel like that gives people more insight about how you are affected.
What about you, Chris?
I'm getting used to the term about wheelchair bound. I'm able to walk and all, but as I'm aging and discovering that it's getting a little bit more difficult to move and go longer distances, I'm really seriously beginning to think, especially last year and kind of beginning of the year before, about getting a wheelchair. And so I think also having been through conference and having the connections with other AMCers and hearing their stories and watching them, it has changed my mindset because I once when I was like, I will never use a wheelchair type thing, and now that I'm getting older, it's like, actually there are benefits, and it's not a horrible thing. There is more ability to continue on and doing it, and it's not something that's limiting. It is, an ability just to continue to conserve energy, to be able to go further than I would normally do. And so I've been really, I think because of conference and other AMCers, it over time, my mind has changed. Like, okay, yeah, this is a good thing, and not as something to think of like, oh my word, I have to go into a wheelchair type situation. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to it, even though I am a little nervous at the same time. Still trying to find and consider like what would be like the right wheelchair as well to use, since I have limited use of my hands. But I know there are, I can have things set up right where I can use my hand to a degree. But and I have tried out some electric wheelchairs and stuff, and they're like, oh, I could do that. But so yeah,
I like what you brought up. I feel like a lot of people like that are on the outside not having a disability just because there are people like you that you can walk around, but our bodies do like deteriorate, I feel like, a lot faster than most. Like, I'm 23 years old and I feel like my back is 70 and my hips are like 85, you know? And I feel like a lot of people on the outside kind of like, oh, well, they can walk. They're just using a wheelchair because they're lazy. But I feel like that's not it at all. It's um a wheelchair is really the same as your legs. I mean, that's how you get your independence to be able to move around. And if your body's telling you, I can't keep walking around like this because my body is deteriorating, then, a wheelchair is the next step. And is giving you your sense of independence and freedom still. And that's why I get so upset about things like that, or when they're like, oh, I'm not going to give you a new wheelchair. Oh, I'm not going to come fix your wheelchair even though it's not moving. It makes me want to turn around and be like, okay, let me chop off both of your legs and then tell you to climb up those stairs. Because that's essentially that is the same thing. It's our legs and it's our freedom and our independence. And that's how we are able to go out and do quote unquote normal things as a human.
I
Absolutely.
definitely agree with that. Definitely. I'm sorry, Annie, you said something.
Oh, I was just going to add, so a couple of things. I know that a few people in our community used to use disability or differently abled. And I know that there was a little bit of pushback in our community for utilizing that verbiage. And they were just saying, just say disabled. And there's nothing wrong with that word. So I know that there's two sides of the coin, and some feel better using different words. So I think that could be like a huge topic in itself. What people are more comfortable with, and getting back to your wheelchair use. There's many in our community that use wheelchairs part time. Um, it's energy conservation. I know that Misha is a huge proponent for using a wheelchair, even though she is able to walk short distances and long distances too. She pushes herself. But to conserve her energy so she can enjoy time with friends and family, she does use her wheelchair. And there's a number of our AMCers at conference that does the same. If it's not a wheelchair, it's a scooter. So lots of mobility devices that are out there now, and some that are very, very lightweight, which makes it nice and easy for our AMCers to lift and fold now and throw in the back of their car. So I think the lightest on the market now is like 28 pounds. Um,
Really?
Yes, it's a folding
The power
wheelchair.
chair?
Yes, yes, yeah. So it's
What is it called? I'm
expensive.
sorry.
I think it's called the Quantum.
Okay.
It's by I think Sunrise Medical puts it out, or is the dealer for it, the vendor. But I could get you the model number and everything. I have it actually with me in my backpack that I can get you the information and specs on that wheelchair. I know they're working on all kinds of different folding wheelchairs now that are lightweight, because a lot of our disabled community is traveling too, and it's very, very helpful to have something that's you're able to just pick up and go. Um, so yes, and I just want to say, Thea, thank you for sharing your incredible story. Wow, it was very I was mouth on the floor dropping, because I'm like, oh my goodness, you've been through so much. Um, but also I see, is that a picture of your husband right next to you,
No, that's
possibly?
actually my dad and my mom, I
Dad and
think.
your mom.
Yes.
Oh, I'm trying to like look at all your photos on the wall. It's so cool. So surrounded by love and family
Yes.
and friends. That's awesome. Um, So tell me more, because one of the things that we discuss a lot, and I know you touched on this a good bit about dating in high school, or your friends having boyfriends and girlfriends, and I know within our community that's one of the subjects that we talk about a lot is dating, and the challenges of dating, and the challenges of seeing your friends. Going and getting married and having children, and it's just you, right? And I know you're concentrating on you right now, but
Exactly.
you did have the opportunity to be married and find the love of your life. So tell us about that. We want to know.
So you want to know what like about my previous marriage, or like if I'm
Sure. Yeah.
oh,
So, any challenges while you were dating, finding love? These are like just some of the topics we talk about a lot on Together Tuesdays. Any advice you have for our AMC community as well?
Jesus.
I know it's a loaded question.
I know. As far as advice, I honestly can't really give you any, unfortunately. Like, so the way I met my husband online, and I probably wouldn't have done the online thing, but my best friend, she kept pushing me to do it. She's like, I think you should, I think you should. And I remember one day, it was my lunch break. She drove up to my job and we were outside. She was sitting on the back of her truck and we created myself a dating profile and put it out there. And that's the way I met Terrence. And the first time, we communicated, again, I was at my job and I was outside. I called him. He asked me for my telephone number and I gave it to him. No, no, no. He asked me for my telephone number and I told him that I would not because I didn't feel safe, but I would take his telephone number. But one of the first messages he had sent to me, I remember on my profile, I put out there that, look, I'm not looking for anybody to take care of me. I could take care of myself. I've been doing so for X amount of years, so I am not looking for that. And I tell him about how I cook, this and the other. And his first message to me was, okay, what else can you do besides cook? And I'm looking at the message like, who in the world are you? Like, what else can I do? Like, and I didn't respond back to him for a couple of days. And after I thought about it, I was just like, well, just respond back to him and see what happens. And I don't remember my response to him, but that whatever it was, it just kind of sparked the conversation. And the first time we was on the phone, it was like we had known each other for years. We like instantly had a connection. I think my main concern when it came to dating and being married was, am I going to be enough for him? Like, am I going to be enough to, make sure he's happy, he's satisfied, whatever, am I going to be enough? And he never made me feel that I was not. A lot of times it was like, I am too much. That's the way it kind of came off. But I was never felt to not be not enough for him. Now, I don't know if ever I say sometimes I do want to get married, and then sometimes it's like, I'm good by myself. So I go back and forth with that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I don't know maybe if the right person came along and who knows, but right now I'm just kind of like, I don't know. So, but as far as like giving advice on dating, and I know people hear it all the time, and I couldn't stand to hear it either. Learning to love yourself and accept you for who you are before you try to bring somebody else into your life. Because if you don't accept you for you, how do you expect anybody else to accept you? So make sure you know who you are and accept you for every part of who you are for yourself.
Absolutely. I love that. That's perfect.
I wasn't able to give more concrete.
No, that's absolutely so true. You can't love anyone else unless you love yourself first, and that's just absolutely. The other topic that we always cover on Together Tuesdays is like tools and gadgets and things in your home that make you more independent, able to do things for yourself. And we like to share those resources with our community because every time we meet a new or bring on a new AMCer or somebody else joins us, we find out about a really cool thing that they utilize in their daily life. So is there anything that you absolutely have to have or use on a daily to make your life easier?
Yes, I did. I'm glad you brought that up. I was listening to Oh gosh, Kiana, the one that did the Tuesday, I think the last
Was it
time.
Diane,
Deanna.
Deani? Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes. I
Yes.
was listening to hers, and she brought up this one thing that I have to go back and listen to because I feel like that would help me, whatever it was. But for me, my thing that I cannot not have is my dressing stick, and I'm pretty sure a lot of AM series know about it, the long stick with the hooks on both ends.
Yes.
So that's what I used to get dressed with.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and that's the one thing that if you want to take my independence from me, take my wheelchair and take my dressing stick. And you will pretty much have my independence for the most part. But other than that, that's about the only thing, honestly, that I use that I have to have on a daily basis to,
Mhm.
properly take care of myself.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I don't do my hair because my limited range of motion. So I have locks and
Mhm.
they don't have to be done every day. So I have my nieces or somebody else to come over and do my hair for me every so often so I don't look half bad. But yeah. But daily, yeah, those are the only things that I normally use on a daily basis that I have to have.
Right. Right. I think
Mhm.
Chris, is that the same for you as well? Your dressing stick?
Yes. Yes. If I did not have it, I would be up a creek.
Yes, exactly.
Because I've made it where I use it for not just dressing, but even reaching for things, pulling
Mhm.
things, pushing things.
Mhm.
So I have one that I carry with me. I have one in my bedroom. I have one in the kitchen. I have one in my laundry. So yeah, those are gone. I would be in trouble. So I
Me
understand.
too.
Felicity, do
And
you
it's
have
so
anything that you utilize on a daily?
Your boyfriend.
Hunter said my boyfriend.
Your boyfriend?
um, Honestly, not really. And it's just because I feel like I've always been stubborn and I'm like, I don't need anything. I'm going to figure out how to do this even if it takes me an hour.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
opening a water bottle, especially if I'm mad, like I'm opening my own water bottle, it's going to take me 45 minutes, but I'm going to do it myself. Um, Living with Carly, and seeing like all the things that she has really opened my eyes to there is a lot of things that could be really helpful for me. And there's
Mhm.
been some of her things that I do use that are just like, wow, this is crazy. There's something that could actually help me if I drop my phone on the floor. She has like this stick type thing that you can make longer, and the end of it is magnetic. And a lot of phones are magnetic now. So I was home by myself one time and I dropped my phone and I used that. I got it off the fridge and I was able to pick up my phone. I This is funny. I mean, I dropped my vape on the ground and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Nobody's here. I definitely need this. I used the same thing to pick it up off the ground. Um, but I guess the one thing that has always helped me is having a stylus. This seems super small,
Mhm.
but
Same.
at night I have like a phone stand that I set up on my chest and I keep my phone up on there, and then I have a stylus in my mouth so that my phone is up closer to my face if I want to play a video game on it or if I want to watch TV on it.
Mhm.
Obviously I can't reach my hands up to my chest to use my phone up there, so
Mhm.
I always have a stylus in my mouth if I'm sitting in bed or sitting on the couch or whatever, and that's been really helpful to me. But other than that, I really don't think I have anything that I use. And I guess that's just because I have been lucky enough to always have somebody else with me that will do all the hard things for me. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, Hunter's horrible at doing hair, but I still have somebody here that can brush my hair for me. And
Mhm.
I don't have to worry about my hair getting all knotted. Because I go more than a day and a half without brushing my hair, it has to be cut out because my hair is so bad. But, you know, I just always have had somebody that can brush my hair for me and help me change my clothes and help me go to the bathroom, put food in the microwave, whatever I need. So I guess I haven't really had to I haven't had the opportunity to have to find something in order to make things easier for me to do on my own.
I understand that was me for a while, a long time. Honestly, I didn't start honestly having to do things for myself until college. And even at that time, I was supposed to have my best friend to come and stay with me during that time, but unfortunately at the time she wasn't able to because of financial reasons. And and I didn't want to go back home, so I didn't tell my family that she wasn't coming. So I just kind of, I stayed at school and I had to figure it out for myself, how to get myself dressed, how to do pretty much everything. And that was the first time I did it. But yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from when you have someone there all the time to do what you need for to be done. So, and when it comes to that point, you'll figure it out as well.
Yeah, and it was definitely something that you were talking about earlier about your back surgery. I wanted to chime in on that a little bit because you said that you feel like it actually made things worse, and I honestly feel the same exact way about my back surgery. That's why I was like nodding my head the whole time. I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody else gets it. Um, because I had a 90% spinal fusion because my spine was at an 84.2-degree curvature. And they were like, yeah, I mean, it's not doing anything, but if it gets worse, it'll end up crushing your lungs or puncturing your lungs. So it was kind of something that I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was 14, and before I had that surgery, I mean, like, I was able to take my right arm and use my back and throw my right arm all the way up onto my left shoulder. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is all you're getting. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is it. I was able to bend forwards and reach things. I was able to sit on the floor and scoot
Mm-hmm.
around.
Yes.
Um, I was able to do much more. I could put my arm on this table right here and bend down to feed myself with a fork or even with a spoon. Um, I was able to do like a lot more. So then once I had that, especially I was in middle school when I had that, so I was kind of already looked at funny because middle schoolers are kind of mean.
I know.
And so, I was like very independent for a while. The only time I had an aide in school was during lunch to feed me, and if I had to go to the bathroom, because I was able to do everything else by myself. But then once I had that back surgery, it's like I was going into high school and had to have somebody literally following me around, and I never had privacy with conversations with my friends. And high school girls were gonna gossip about boys and all the weird nasty things that high schoolers talk about. But like that really did change my life drastically and took away a lot of my independence. My therapist said that I lost 90% of my range of motion after that surgery. So
Wow.
it was a big change for sure.
Yeah. Hmm. Definitely. And it happened for me right after high school. So here I am thinking I'm about to live a more independent life going into college. But after this surgery, I'm like, y'all just messed up my whole life. Like you said, I was able to bend, clip my own toenails, and scoot around on the floor. I'm not even able to sit in a bathtub now to take a bath. I have to take a shower.
hmm
So I get
I
it.
I'm the same exact way, and I'm like sometimes I miss being able to sit on the floor at that 90-degree angle with your hips and stretch my back and stretch my
Mhm,
hips, but it literally does not even allow me to do anything like that anymore. I can't even get to a full 90-degree angle
mhm,
anymore.
mhm. Yeah, and I know Chris mentioned something that was is very important to me, and I didn't mention it earlier, but I never really hung around people with disabilities, especially in high school and on back. It wasn't until I want to say it was like 2013 when I met the first AMCer, and that was through the meetup that they had here in Atlanta. And when I met them, it was honestly like meeting the family that I never knew existed. They got me, like just like you guys, you get me. I don't have to explain why I can or can't do anything. Like you get it. And like you said, I feel like if I'm able to come around you guys more often or talk to you guys more often, I feel like life could be a lot easier for me too. I'll learn more about me and how to better assess things. And like I said, just make life a lot easier if I do. So that's one of the, honestly, the reasons why I'm going to I want to try to make it to this conference. I feel like it's a necessity.
Did you say you lived in Atlanta?
I do.
I live an hour and a half from you.
Where?
I live in Columbus.
So I used to go to Columbus State.
I'm going to Columbus State right now.
Wow, we're gonna have to try to have a meetup sometime soon.
And I don't know if you know who Sherry is, but she lives in Atlanta.
I've talked to her. I don't know her as well. The one that I did keep in contact with regularly, it's been a while since I've talked to them, Catherine and Amy. Those were the two that I kept in contact with after the meetup. But I haven't, unfortunately, kept in contact as I should. So I need to reach out more often.
Yeah, there's a lot of us in Georgia actually, which is really weird. But they're, like I said, I mean, my household has 3 of us, so.
Oh my God! So you said you and Carly and who else?
Hunter.
Hunter. Okay.
You probably have no idea who he is. He's not very talkative. Hunter, come say hi.
Carly before.
Felicity talks for everybody.
Oh.
Everybody.
The man of many words, Hunter.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have to do another meetup in Atlanta soon because we do have a lot of families in Georgia and we're not too far from there. Chris and I, we're about 2.5 hours from there. So that's like a day drive. We could totally do that.
Uncle Rod is only an hour from me.
Yeah, Uncle
Montgomery,
Rod.
aka the dump. Here we go.
I will
What's up,
go
Uncle Rod?
drag him.
Are you doing official board meeting
uh,
business earlier?
I'm surprised my hair ain't gray, but
I hear ya.
oh my goodness, it was long today, but I'm here.
Yeah, sometimes it gets like that. It's hard to do a lot of business in an hour. So, but glad you're here. Glad you made it. And you'll have to rewatch because Thea's story is wonderful and definitely one that we definitely need to have you back. And we're here, Thea, every week. So every Sunday and every Saturday, the adults get together to talk, and they're not a recorded session. They're just hanging out and being appropriate and inappropriate sometimes.
Mostly inappropriate. Mostly inappropriate.
It's my fault. I'm sorry.
It totally
Yeah,
is.
no, I'm a really good at tutu. I don't do inappropriate.
They behave for me on Sundays here. I don't know what goes on Saturdays. That's the adult only AMCer group.
If you want me to record one weekend, I don't mind, Queen.
It's at 8 p.m.
On Sunday?
8 on Saturdays. Every Saturday at 8 and then every Sunday at 5. So, and we're trying to do better about having a guest speaker like you on Sundays, but not every Sunday we have a guest. We sometimes just hang out and talk and catch up with everyone, depending on who shows up. And we talk about life's ongoing things and challenges we might have dealt with for the week. And, it just depends. So, and if we have a special guest, of course, we give them our undivided attention. And we love our special guests because we learn something new. So we have a few minutes left. So tell us more about your Biozine and how we can purchase it, view it, and how anyone can be interviewed by you to be featured.
Gosh. So yeah, you can definitely go on my website. I will have to send because it's www.uniquely.com, but uniquely is not spelled like you think it would be. It's EWKNIKLEE.com. So I don't know if you have like an email address you want to share with me or whatever, and I could send you the information. But you can also follow me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel, which it is, oh my gosh, this is such a big deal and a scary thing for me because I'm not used to having a camera in front of me and talking like so. It is definitely a challenge for me, but I'm going to stick with it because people have been asking me about doing it. So I have it out there. So maybe sometimes I could have one of you guys on there and we can just have a live session or something, talk about something. But as far as the Biozine, you can definitely get it from my website. You can also go on Amazon to purchase. And
The link is in your so we have when we put out the Together Tuesday ad for your guest spot, that Thea's website is listed on there, and as well I believe as her socials. So if you
okay,
just track back to that, and then when we post your episode, we will also post with your website and your social links as well.
thank you,
So,
thank
of
you. And if you
course.
follow me on YouTube, you have the opportunity to win one of my designs, my shirts that says, "My disability is not my inability."
Okay.
And I think it's such a cute little shirt. And one up my books. So follow me,
Oh, that's
and a
awesome.
random, selection will be made for 4 people to win
Okay.
that.
That's awesome. And Thea, if you happen to come to conference, we do have, and I was telling another author about this, Mark, he just published a children's book and he's an AMCer in New Zealand, and he's coming to conference from New Zealand, which is really cool.
Oh,
He is really excited because he's bringing a couple of his books. So if you wanted to bring like your Biozine or anything like that, we do have like an AMC vendor table spot that you could, if you wanted to, hang out and sign autographs or whatever, tell people about like what you do, on the daily. And it's a great way to meet people as well. And there's, like I told Mark, there's no commitment for you to stay there the whole time. You can set things up, set photos up or your QR codes. And then you could, sit at your table whenever you feel like it and then roam around and hang out with the family
okay.
during, all the other activities that are going on. So that's an option if you wanted to do
Yeah.
that. I know families love to purchase books from our AMCers, and so if you have like multiple copies that you can bring along with you and sign, I think that would be a fun activity for you as well.
Yeah. Thank you,
So,
thank you. I really
but
do
we,
appreciate this.
of course, and we hope you join us again, on
I
another
will.
Saturday or Sunday. We're always here.
I will.
And a few of the regulars are usually always here unless they're under the weather feeling, or they're on a cruise, Sherry. Sherry's like on a cruise with
Alex,
Bob with the high marks, yes, and totally jealous. So posting pictures all week of their food and everything. So that's why they're not here.
Well, I will definitely be joining more. I promise.
That would be awesome. Yes, absolutely. And of course, there's always going to be some other items that we might be bringing to the table. I really want to I have a recent high school graduate that is an incredible writer, and I would love for him to even interview you and do a spot for a newsletter. So if you're open to that, we would love to do that as well. So he's a young, sweet boy, and just and his payment is Taco Bell, and it's incredible. We love Owen, but we're trying to get him some real fundage, not just Taco Bell.
Be excited to do that. I'll be honored, actually.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yes. And one of the things I would love to do at AMCSI is just to continue to just embrace our community, and if we have job opportunities to offer, and if you are ever willing to do a social media takeover of our account, that would be awesome too. I don't know if you've seen a number of our AMCers doing like a day in the life or makeup or this is how I do different things. They're all over Instagram, and we just love sharing those. So if you ever want to do a Instagram takeover of our account, let us know. We'd love to have you.
Jesus, okay.
Lots of opportunities to have fun with us, though.
Well,
All right, you guys. So next Sunday, I don't have a scheduled speaker, but you never know. Things might pop up. A lot of people reach out and say, "Hey, I want to be on there too." So if anybody is ready, willing to share their story with us, let us know. info@amcsupport.org, and we shall see you all next Sunday at 5 p.m. Be there in the
thank
P
you.
Square. Hope to see you in Norfolk, Thea. Thank you so
Yes,
much
I
for
hope
being
so as
here with
well.
us.
Yes, thank you guys, and you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.